Aloy is a brand new cryo 5-star coming to us here in Genshin Impact 2.1. She's available for PS4 users only at the moment. However, in Genshin Impact 2.2, she will be available for everybody via mail. And so everybody's getting a free 5-star. Aloy is from a different video game. For those of you who don't know, she's from Horizon Zero Dawn. And here they've done a collab with Genshin Impact and created a new cryo bow user. And she is actually pretty solid. I can't say she is one of the best characters or even that she fulfills a particular role better than other cryo characters currently in the game. However, she does have some unique aspects to her that I do find valuable and may warrant you wanting to use her, and we'll go over those all in this video. Hey guys, my name is Blossoms, and today we're going to be showing off my Aloy build, some of the unique aspects that make Aloy good, as well as going over any other potential builds you might want to try, or maybe other weapons you might want to try. We're going to showcase some different things as well. So we've got plenty to cover, and if you want to see more videos like this, then hit that like button and subscribe, as it helps me out a ton. It's a couple simple clicks for you and I deeply appreciate it. You can always change your mind later, but without further ado, let's go ahead and show off Aloy. So as I said, Aloy doesn't really fulfill any sort of role better than other cryo units we have. Ganyu is just straight up better in pretty much every single way. Other characters like Chongyun and Rosaria also fill her role as like a support a little bit better, especially if those 4 stars have constellations. So what makes Aloy so unique? Well, first of all, she is a bow character, and that does actually matter, especially when we're getting more enemies in the game, like the specters, those really annoying enemies that backpedal all the time. Having a bow character on the team is pretty nice, so that's one bonus, but that's really not enough to warrant a user. And I would say the most interesting part about Aloy's kit is the fact that she grants attack bonus to the team. So we'll go over her kit a little bit here, but do notice she gets this attack bonus from using her E skill, and her E skill here is basically use her E skill. She drops these little bombs after it hits, and when those bombs hit, they give you a coil stack, and what these coil stacks do, they increase her normal attack, and then when she has 4 coil stacks, she gets put into a state called the rushing ice state, and it converts her normal attacks to cryo damage, and she gets like a cryo damage bonus as well as a normal attack bonus. It's all pretty sweet. Now this also decreases the attack of the enemy. It's nothing too crazy, but it is there, and that's something important to know. But as I said, this E skill increases the attack of your allies. It increases hers by 16%, but it increases your party members by 8%, and that lasts for 10 seconds. And you can kind of keep this going because there's going to be plenty of bombs on the field, and if you have like a grouping character or something, you can make sure they're going to be hitting those characters, and you're constantly going to have that attack buff. So what that allows Aloy to do is essentially provide a constant 8% attack buff, and that isn't that substantial, but of course you can start to stack it with things like the 4-piece noblesse set, like we're going to do in this video. Now she also has an elemental burst, and there's nothing too crazy here. It's just one big AoE cryo damage hit, and it does scale pretty darn well. It has a low energy cost and a cooldown of 12 seconds, which is important considering the fact the noblesse oblige bonus there, it lasts for 12 seconds. So that means you're going to be able to keep her elemental burst off of cooldown with noblesse oblige, which is going to be pretty sweet. Now her other passive here that is actually pretty important is when she's in the rushing ice, as I said, she gets a cryo damage bonus by 3.5% every 1 second, and this is actually very easy to activate, and getting a huge bonus from this is also very easy, and you can easily get to 100% cryo damage bonus with her without really even trying too hard. Like, you don't need the 2-piece Blizzard Strayer set to get that 15% cryo damage to still have 100%, because this is going to be providing a lot. She also has this passive, and this isn't really anything important. It just makes it to where you can sneak up on animals easier. Nothing too crazy there. Overall, Aloy's pretty strong, and she's a good cryo support unit that is good at applying some cryo. She does need some help with like a grouping character, somebody like Sucrose or somebody like Kazuha are going to help a ton, but she is very good at applying cryo, and having her burst up all the time and an attack bonus all the time is actually pretty sweet. And not to mention, having the option of normal attacking is actually pretty nice. Her normal attacks aren't anything crazy, but they aren't too bad, and often I'll find myself in between cooldowns or something and I notice she has a rushing ice state. I'll just do some normal attacks and they're good extra damage, and especially if you're fighting an enemy floating in the air and you don't have other bow characters, well then Aloy is actually actually going to be a nice little utility to hit those characters while they're in the air, and I've found myself enjoying that, especially with the release of the Spectres and having them to farm them out for her kit, because she does take their materials to level up. Then also, as I said, a lot of characters in the game do fill her roles better. Like Ganyu, even if you build her as a charge shot DPS, she's just going to be a better support as well, because Ganyu's Q can be done indefinitely if you build her energy recharge right, and it does really good damage itself. It doesn't have a very high energy cost or anything, and Ganyu's just a busted character in general. So I'm not going to tell you she is straight up better than a lot of these characters. I mean, even Rosaria, if you have high constellations, is going to be a better character. You know, getting crit rate to your team and stuff is really nice, but she does offer some utility, and I do find that pretty valuable. One other thing I wanted to mention is the fact that we don't have constellations for Aloy. They're just not here yet, or if they are ever going to be here, we don't know. We'll see if they ever actually implement those, because that could change her drastically, especially if there's something that is going to be easy to get. Considering she's a free character, maybe they'll do something to where we have to do an event or something for constellations, and that could be easy. But, you know, knowing Mihoyo, we'll probably have to pay for them. We'll have to see just how impactful they are. But for now, she's just a pretty good character who has a slightly different niche and a pretty fun playstyle. For artifacts for Aloy, as I did mention previously, I'm going to be using the 4-piece Noblesse Oblige set, because this attack bonus is going to stack with the attack bonus she's already getting, so you're going to be getting a little bit extra attack bonus than you would be normally from Noblesse Oblige, and a lot of us are already running a Noblesse Oblige character on the team, so having one that gives us extra attack percent on that is also pretty nice. And the way we've got her built here is attack percent, cryo damage bonus, and then crit rate, crit damage. There's nothing too unique here. She doesn't have any special scalars, so we don't really need to worry anything about that, and we can just kind of build her in the normal way, worrying about things like crit rate and crit damage and attack percent and energy recharge. You do not need much energy recharge on her at all, considering the fact that she does have a 40 cost burst, and depending on the weapon you're using, you really don't need any, just to make sure she has it off of cooldown. But yeah, things like crit rate, crit damage are going to be very important. Elemental mastery is also going to be important if you are wanting to do a reverse melt Aloy, and if you are doing a reverse melt Aloy, you do have some other options. Something like the Lava Walker set would actually be a really cool thing to use for a reverse melt Aloy. I actually plan building out a Lava Walker set myself, as I do have some pretty decent artifacts and I want to try it out. So if you want to see a reverse melt Aloy, let me know in the comment section below. I would love to have that build coming out for you guys. It's just, you know, where it places on the ladder of me farming materials for, as I have a lot of things in the works. Now, some of you might be wondering for some set alternatives, and I can't say something like the Emblem of Severed Fate is going to be worth it, because as I said, she just doesn't really need energy recharge, and sure, you could force it to deal a ton of damage on your elemental burst. I just don't really think that's worth it. You could do something like a normal attack build with Shiminawa's. I really don't think that's worth it. As I said, her stuff just really isn't that strong, and I guess you could kind of keep this up. But she does have a really long E skill, and it's just not really worth it. This is just too clunky, and I really can't recommend it. So don't go for this unless you just really want to. If you are going to go for a normal attack build, I would recommend just giving her a shield character and going for like retracing bullets. It's going to be much easier to keep going. Other than that, I really don't think there's any other sets that Aloy can benefit off of. Of course, you can do things like a 2-piece Gladiator's Finale and 2-piece like Blizzard Strayer. You could even go 4-piece Blizzard Strayer if you're going for like a freeze comp or something, but I do think she particularly is going to benefit the most from the Noblesse Oblige. As for weapons, I've actually tried out a ton. I've messed around with a bunch of bows. Pretty much any of the bows you see right here, I have tried on her, and I've got to say Sacrificial Bow, I think, is the best. Now, I did say she didn't need energy recharge, and I still stand by that, but getting your elemental skill back is actually really good on her, because there are a lot of times where you aren't going to be getting her rushing ice state, because maybe your bombs just didn't hit opponents, and if you did suck them up with a character like Kazuha, then you're still going to have a problem because of the fact that her E skill here does have a internal cooldown of when the coil stacks can be applied. So generally you can use your E skill and you'll use Kazuha's E or something to go ahead and suck up those bombs and then get your coil stacks, but sometimes they all hit at the same time and you don't get the proper amount of stacks, and that can be an issue. So when that happens, having something like the Sacrificial Bow here to make sure more bombs are contacting and you're getting that rushing ice state for the additional cryo damage bonus as well as the normal attack bonus is really important. And I really really find it to be the most consistent way to build her. But you can also use something like the stringless here because it does increase her elemental skill and elemental burst damage, and that's all she works off of, especially if you're going for a reverse melt Aloy. I cannot recommend this enough, and honestly this is the weapon I would be using if getting those coil stacks was a little bit more consistent, just because getting those coil stacks for the rushing ice state is really big on her. It's going to increase her damage a bunch just by getting a bunch of cryo damage bonus and a little bit of normal attack stuff. Having that consistency is really good in my opinion. I even tried things like Amos bow, and even though this is a big stat stake and does a bunch of damage, increases some normal attack stuff, just getting that rushing ice state I felt was more important, and honestly felt a lot better to play her with, and just was a lot more consistent, especially keeping her elemental burst on cooldown. This makes it very, very easy because she generates a ton of particles from her E skill. So this is pretty sweet. Of course, you can use her bow only if you're on PlayStation though. It only works on PlayStation. This is okay, but I still don't think this is as good as something like the sacrificial bow. You can use other things like maybe the Favonius warbow if you just want to make her like a battery or something. I don't really think that's the move. This isn't going to help your consistency with the coil stacks at all like the sacrificial bow will. So I think this is going to be your best option. Of course, you can go for others if you're going for some different builds, but if you're going for a support cryo Aloy, this is, in my opinion, the best in slot. Unless you're just fine with the inconsistency, then otherwise I think stringless is going to provide the best damage for you. As for the attributes on my Aloy, I do have her at 1400 attack here, 56 elemental mastery, nothing too crazy, 157% energy recharge. You really don't need this much. This is just kind of what I landed on with what I had, and I have her at a crit rate of 61, a crit damage of 132, and cryo damage bonus of 68.2%. I do believe her hidden ascension bonus is cryo damage, and that also makes it very easy to get to 100 cryo damage bonus with her passive there. And as you saw previously, I have her talents at 6, 6, and 8, just for reference for the showcase. All right, enough chatter. Let's go ahead and go into the Abyss and show her off just so you guys have an idea how strong she is in some endgame content. All right, so we're here in the Abyss, just selecting the 20% attack, and we'll just do floor 1 with this team right here. Nothing too crazy, just to show off Aloy's kind of support capabilities, just so you guys all have an idea of how good they are. And you see her normal attacks aren't anything too nuts, but they aren't bad either. They're definitely good supplemental damage for the team, and I can't complain too much. And yeah, as I said, she just does a good job, and you can have your E in your pocket there, which is really nice, which gets her Q back very, very easy. Not to mention the stacks on her E skill there, or the little bombs she leaves behind. They also actually count for the sacrificial swords or sacrificial bows cooldown there, which is pretty nice. And having this rushing ice bonus here is really nice for freeze comps, especially because you see that AoE is no joke, and you can really get things going if you just do your cooldowns properly. And I haven't even been really paying attention too much here. I'm barely using Yoimiya, my main DPS, just so you guys have a good you know, idea of how strong Aloy is by herself. And you can see just basically her Kazuha and a little bit of support from Kokomi was enough to easily deal with a bunch of enemies. She's a very good in an AoE setting, especially paired with the right characters. All right, we're going to do a little bit of just kind of like a damage showcase. You know, we'll go ahead and get the Pyroregifine down here, have Kazuha and Bennett, you know, buff a little bit. And just so you guys have an understanding of how strong a reverse melt build could be if you're wondering. And this isn't even, you know, the reverse melt build with like Lava Walk or anything, so just keep that in mind. But she can still hit pretty darn hard if you let her, so just keep that one in mind. The 64k there, you know, with a bunch of buffs, nothing too insane, but as I said, yeah, you can get her hitting some good numbers if you do a proper setup. And with something like Lava Walker, you can easily start and get into the 100ks there. So I just wanted to show you guys, you know, the big damage number. So my closing thoughts on Aloy is, well, she's a good character and she definitely has a place in some teams, especially as an attack buffer. I do find her very fun, and I really like her bombs. They're pretty fun to use, but I don't think they're fun without somebody like a Kazuha or Sucrose to be able to group them, or Jean even. But she is still pretty fun. She has very good feeling gameplay, and the build I've crafted around her is probably the most fun one I've been able to do so far. But if you have a different Aloy build, let me know in the comment section below. I'd like to see how you're building yours, or if you like my build a little bit better. But I hope the rest of you have a fantastic rest of your day. My name is Blossoms, and I'll catch you guys in the next video. Peace.